Hi, everybody. Welcome to Profiling Evil, our digital newsletter, the BOLO. Thank you for participating in this newsletter process that we've been going through. I wanted to take advantage of this issue to announce our new podcast series that's launching next week. It's a series of law enforcement discussions with some of the leading experts in the world. I think you're going to really like it, and we're going to use this particular issue to give you a sneak peek into what's happening on it. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and please make sure that you're getting the notifications by ringing that bell. So let's talk about the Profiling Evil podcast series and this episode, Discovering Jeffrey Epstein. In the first episode of Profiling Evil's podcast, I'm going to interview internationally known private investigator and radio talk show host Ed Opperman of the Opperman Report. Ed has interviewed hundreds of witnesses in some of the most compelling cases that you have ever read about. In this podcast, we're going to talk about how Ed blew off the lid in the Jeffrey Epstein case. You're really not going to want to miss this one. I think you're going to enjoy getting to know this guy who grew up on the tough streets of the South Bronx in New York City, a place I've been many, many times. Ed rose above the challenges of all the gang influence there and in his neighborhood, and he went on to get a college education in paralegal studies. For the last 40 years, he's been involved in investigations and counterintelligence surveillance, and again, in some huge cases involving some of the biggest names you've ever read about. In the podcast, we're going to talk about the early days of Epstein's rise to power and his perverted focus on teenage girls. We'll explore how he exploited his victims and how he got away with it for so darn long. This interview will provide you with some insight into how Epstein pulled it off, how his crimes went on for so long, and perhaps Ed will even share with us some of his thoughts on the theory about whether Epstein is alive or dead. I think you're going to enjoy this new Profiling Evil podcast series, and I sure hope that you'll share the news about it with your friends. In our next segment, we'll look into personality characteristics of cult leaders. So until then, thanks for supporting Profiling Evil.